about research and experimentation, test site, and dual-use UAS technology. On the stage, the moderator, Alessandro Cardi, Senior Advisor, DTA. Prego.
Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Well, we will start with the panel with a very good viatico, I would say, because the first speakers has put a lot of infos to feed this panel. I would also, before starting with the panel itself and to call the panelists on the stage, just introduce the reason why we speak about the test bed and dual technology. I think that we are living today a situation in which the evolution that we have seen in terms of the way in which the drone technology has imposed its own presence in the real life of the people is that is more and more, let's say, important. But there is a but. Today, we have seen a lot of operations made by consumer drones and very limited amount of professional drones. This is the reason why the drones have been so spreaded utilization for filming, photograph, and so on. Then they started with some more professional services, the inspections and so on. We have seen yesterday many examples. These changes change the paradigm of the services and the operations, because you need more professional drones. The weight of the drones is increasing, and we have seen in the whole number of these drones that are not anymore 2 kilograms or 4 kilograms, but we are speaking about 30 kilograms, 80 kilograms. So it is moving up, and it is the way. It is the way in which the evolution of the drone technology will follow in the future. What is the meaning of this movement? Is that we need now more, let's say, proved sustainability, more reliability in the platform, in the sensors, and in the operations. So this step can only be achieved if you have available a value chain in which you have manufacturers, you have the testing facilities in order to certify and to prove the good choices you have made, the performances, reliabilities, and so on. And then we have also, in the perspective, the need for a number of subjects to research and to develop their own products. I wish also to add something more. It is not only the development and research for platforms, but now what we have learned by the European approach in terms of operations, in terms of services, what is needed is to have an operation-centric approach. It means that the complete chain of the operation on the service has to prove to be safe. The platform, the reliability of sensors, the information that you exchange, the operator, its own procedure, the airspace, and the service in itself. So all these pieces that is forming the picture, they need to be proven to be safe, reliable, and secure also. I don't mention about the security. We have spoken about, and we heard this morning about the needs for defense. Now, why then to speak about military? Well, I think that defense should be taken up in a more general and broad sense. It means military, of course, but also police. So defense from terrorist attack or illegal situation that can create in any piece of the country, in the cities, and not only in the cities. So the defense has its own need. And then it brings me to another question, because I would run this panel and based on the three main themes. The first one is the relevance, as you can imagine from my word, the relevance of a test bed as a piece of the value chain in the system, the expectation that we can have about the use of and what means to have a test bed, and the third layer is the dual-use technology. There is more and more evident, and I do thank the former speaker from EDA, that there is a sense in order to have more efficient and even economic approach in order to have technology proven either for civilian use and for defense use. So this is a theme that has always been discussed at any level, at national level, international level, European level. Just to conclude my introduction, in my former job as a Vice Director General of ENAC, I attended for many years, a lot of meetings at European level. And specifically, when we speak about the use of airspace, and I mean the flexible use of airspace, the wording that we use today in order to stress the concept that we have only one airspace that should be used efficiently by the civilian, by commercial use, commercial operations, and defense needs. So I appreciate, and I've ever appreciated the cooperation and the importance to have a strong cooperation between military side and civilian side. So starting with this, I will put these themes to my speakers that I invite to go to the stage, starting from, I was just on the left side, coming from the left side, Ennio Borgna from ENAC. You already spoke about the Aurora project. Emilien Vatelet has already taken the stage, director of Test Center in Belgium. And then Gianpaolo Conte from Leonardo, and Christian Lai from Avio Aero. There is a fifth speaker. He's Mr. Giovanni D'Amore from Italian Space Agency. He was planning to participate by remote connection, but he advised us that he's blocked in a big jam due to an accident, car accident. So he's not sure if he will be able to connect, either reaching the office or by phone. I don't know. We will have the pleasure to ask Giuseppe D'Amore the same question that I will ask to my speakers. So, going back and starting with this panel, that I will try to manage in an efficient way in order to also recover a bit of time. Starting with the first question, I spoke about the value chain and the, let's say, and the place that a test bed can have in this value chain. So I would ask, starting with Emilien, that is director of a test center, what is your position, what is the consideration about the subject of the relevance to having available a test bed? Please.
Being the director of a test center, I cannot say that it is unless not useful. It is from the feedback that we have from the industry. And I think we can ask the question to my neighbors just after. The situation with the politics right now is that if they want innovation, companies would like innovation, citizens would like innovation, but in the drone world, you cannot test that innovation. Simply because the legislation is strict. And it's just that if you build something new, you cannot fly with that. So we definitely need a place and places in the world to be able to test these systems. It could be hardware, software, sensors, or applications, to have some feedbacks, and then to go to see the authorities and say, okay, now I can prove that my system is good enough to be on the market. And that's how testbeds are useful and should be useful. But to do that, we also need the support of the authorities to be recognized as a place to test it again. So we can say that we are testbeds, but if we don't have the authorization to do what companies are expecting to do, that's another problem. So I would turn the question, if I may, to Leonardo. Say, okay, if you want to develop something new, what are you supposed to do? Or what are you doing?
Please, Gianpaolo.
Thank you. Yes, when we develop something new, we definitely need proper test facility to test with less constraint that you usually have in regular environment, because authorization is the is the hard part. So when you have something which is new, which is not certified, which is not completely even fully developed, but you want to test it, so you can only do that in such test case which are safe, and you have proper facility also to measure the outcome of the test, and it's essential, I have to say. So it's really important.
Yes, let me intervene on this subject. I know by experience that many manufacturers, I mean the manufacturer of the entire aircraft, or let's say the platform, in terms of more neutral terms. Generally speaking, and in many occasions, many times, it happens that the manufacturer leaves or has the assembly line in face of an airport, and then it has its own facility to test the product. And this is a matter of life. That is true. I need to know, or it should be very interesting to understand why to have a third-party test facility. So not your own facility, a third-party facility. This is a subject that's quite interesting to speak. I mean that also Avio Aereo can answer, but Gianpaolo, if you can start with your own position on this.
Simply because the spectrum of the thing you want to test, it's diverse. So you might have a testing facility just next to your plant, which has certain feature, but you probably need in general you want to test many different things which are not possible to contain in a single facility. So the environment you want to test in different environments, so you have to go somewhere else. This is just the quite obvious. So that's why.
Okay, thank you. Even things that seems to be obvious, maybe sometimes they're not so obvious. Yeah. Please, Christian.
Yeah, I would like to echo your comment because we are talking about perhaps a kind of changing of paradigm, because many manufacturers have the flying testing sites close to the airports. Formerly, I worked for Augusta Westland, right? So we had, let me say, the assembly line close to Malpensa, right? So in Cascina Costa of Samarate. So it's normal, right? So, and that is the environment. But right now we are changing and reshaping the ranges of the aircrafts that need to cover, right? We are not talking about aircrafts that will reach out hundreds of kilometers. We are talking about drones. We are talking about smaller aircraft that need to be more tight with the surfaces, with the infrastructure, networks, in close proximity of the ground, and the environment is completely different. So for this reason, I think that third-party facility would pay the requirement. And there is another thing, and a well-framed reserve for flying experimental activities would also pay the requirement to help the airworthiness authority to learn from what we are doing and to rephrase and adjust the regulatory environment for the certification of the services and of the aircrafts.
Yes, very good answer. I appreciate both the answers that I received, also because you mean that if you have a tailored situation, let's say a technology-driven test site, you can, let's say, have more benefit from a situation in the environment in which this is specifically designed to host testing for drones, for example, for the different reasons we have. And then I would add another let's say, layer on this. We know, and this is quite common and understandable, when we speak about the traditional aviation, I can assure you that the profile, the flight profile, the mission is already given. I don't want to say it's rigid, but it's given. A transport aircraft has to fly in a given way. There's no other chances. So the testing is more or less, let's say, not easy, never easy, but fixed and programmable. You can program this. You can plan. When you speak about drones, you speak of something that's undefined, because there is no specific mission. There are hundreds of missions. So if you have tested a drone and a solution for a specific mission, don't care. After 1 month, you will test again because it's changed the mission profile, it's changed the service, it's changed the operations. So this is a good let's say, picture of the meaning of a third party. And Ennio, what is any thoughts about you on the subject?
Yes, I think if I think the high risk of the operation, it is necessary to that the manufacturer, the developer, responded to some requirements. For this is needed to have infrastructure facilities to simulate, to demonstrate in a simulated environment and in real environment to respond to requirements of the regulation in order, for example, to demonstrate compliance with the requirements in a certification process, for example. For the drones, I think, for example, design verification is a process in charge of the EASA, but also for example, transport passenger in a type certification process also is a process in charge of the EASA. And for demonstrate compliance with the requirements, it necessary to have adequate infrastructure, adequate facilities with the as suitable for this necessity of the manufacturer or the developer. I think third parties is an opportunity for third parties utilize infrastructure facilities for example, reason of cost-benefit reason, or for standardization also.
Yes, yeah, thank you very much. I think that, let's say, going on this, the same line, that when it is quite usual to have an aircraft manufacturer based on an aircraft, because they have the needs that is traditionally placed to find manufacturers of aircraft. But a manufacturer of a drone has no need to stay on the airport. You can build your drone in anywhere, anywhere, and maybe it's even more economic to produce in a factory in a country and not in the airport. It's notably very costly for a manufacturer to stay. So it's usual to have quite a number of platform manufacturer, and not only platform, as I said before, living or having its own activity outside the airport. So having a third party, in this case, is also an answer to a need that a common facility for many manufacturers. And again, I appreciated your answer about the sharing of knowledge, because if you have a concentrated in one part, in one place, not all, let's say, many operations, development, and testing, you can let's say, learn from this and share with the others. So there is a common growth of the system. So it's another, let's say, in my opinion, a tool for the test facility to stay in the loop and to provide answer to the market. Okay, so I think this layer has been really an issue, and we have well discovered why there is a need for a third-party test facility, and this is one block. So if we go on this reasoning, I said before that there is let's say, another let's say layer is the expectations. What are your expectations when you approach a test facility or you choose a test facility? Let's say let's reason about you have 2-3 different sites in order to test your own article. Maybe the platform, maybe the sensors, maybe the solution of the assembly, maybe the operation that you had to test. Because what I mentioned before, operations are not standard for drones, are coming from the creativeness, the creativity of the people inventing new services and new operations. So you have to test anytime how good, how safe, how stable are your operations, the new operations. So according to this scenario, what should be, or what you think are the expectations of a customer, looking from the customer? I will start this time from the industry side, the Gianpaolo, for example, and then Christian.
Yeah, so the expectation, first of all, is the airspace. So how large is your test site in order to perform range tests, for instance. So the range is a parameter, and like ceiling, altitude is another parameter. Then I would say also what type of instrumentation the test facility has implemented in order to monitor the air traffic. So usually test site, you have to reserve you have to make a NOTAM, you have to reserve area, you don't have, hopefully you don't have intruder, you should not have intruder. But NOTAM by itself is not a guarantee, that you don't have infringement. And this is important that the test facility has, an active monitoring system to monitor the, airspace for non-cooperative, vehicles. And so I expect that. So radar system, I saw that you're, in Grottaglie, you're going to implement a radar system, 12 kilometers, just for that, and also some electro-optical tracking system, and this is very good. So this is another aspect I expect from the test site. Also, would be nice to have NOTAM handling. So if someone is, handling all the NOTAM requests, which take out some of the burden from the operator who want to concentrate on the test. So yeah, there are many other things. Also, for instance, if I'm going to test navigation system, like if I want to test GNSS denied, I've seen here in Aurora project, there's focuses on GNSS infrastructure for navigation. So I would like to have, for instance, a jammer available. So if I develop, GNSS denied navigation, then I want to be able to test it, and then I need a jammer. So if you provide jammer, I can test how resilient is my system. Sure. So there are many things to consider. Not going into the urban air mobility. I would like to have an urban area which I can use to experiment. Usually, it's very difficult to perform tests in urban area for safety reason, but I need to test there, and then I need a safe area to test. Proximity navigation, when I navigate proximity to building is a problem, so I need to do it, and I stop here.
Okay, thank you. And then Christian, what was your consideration about?
I can report with some level of hindsight, some sensitiveness within Avio Aero, and within several players that are all around timeliness. And I do appreciate the takeaways coming out from Telespazio's presentation within the Aurora program, in which there were two learnings relevant to timeliness. The first one, to have in time or adequately in time the permit to fly, and to have in time the availability of the data coming out from the flying testing activities, right? I would add something else on top of that. The sensitiveness that is growing around within our environment, within Avio and so on, is also relevant to the segregation of the data, right? Because if there is a platform, if there is, let me say, a testing facility, yeah, that's great that everybody can access it, but one strong requirement that the facility needs to take into account is the, let me say, capability to segregate, let me say, the repositories of procedures and data coming out from the experimental activities. So those are the three requirements that should be taken into account in carrying on this endeavor.
Okay. Thank you very much. Before moving, just wait, because I wish to put a question or stimulate your consideration after the industry aspirational needs. Just collecting, because I'm very interested in your consideration about this. We have, trying to recollect, we have these issues, that is the adequate space. So a test bed lives on space, airspace, on air. It's not on ground. The ground is everywhere, but it's not the same for airspace. Airspace is very limited and scarce resource, because there are a lot of activities in air, and then it's difficult to find out the right space at any time. And what you have said, let's say, push me to consider that having right procedures to be timeline, right procedures to, let's say, to activate the right airspace volumes according to the needs. And this is just to end. In addition, I would say, looking at the specificity of the drone operations, the flexibility to go beyond, because as you mentioned, any test you have to do, it's not for sure that we have the solution already in place. So you have to have also some capacity to tailor and to innovate in terms of testing. So you manage a test center. How do you sound these issues to your experience?
The good news is that we have an answer for you, not just me, but we are a community of test centers. So we have a bit more than 40 test centers in Europe, and I would say more than 30 are together in a kind of cluster association network of test centers. So it means that we know each other, we have a direct contact, and we know the added value of each of them. So if you want to fly in the middle of nowhere and the only thing you will see is snow, we have it. If you want to fly over the sea, we have it. If you want to fly in an urban area, we have it. So depending on the kind of test you would like to do, we can give you the best place to do it. And this is the very strongness of this network, is that if on day one you just need to take off for 2 meters, go 2 meters far and then back, you can do it anywhere. But as soon as you need something more dedicated, we can find the right places to places to do it.
But very, very good answer, and it opens a window in another subject, a network of test beds, and it's very, very good, let's say, position, and I appreciate a lot of the sense of community. It's not a competition, it's a cooperation. So this is a different angle to approach the test, let's say, issue. But as far as the expectation, do you agree with a level of, let's say, equipment and, let's say, structuring of the test center?
Yes, of course. I mean, the basic things is that you need an airspace, which is more or less blocked or safe. But then the requirements are very different depending on the companies. I mean, if it's a big one that need to test a fixed wing of 4 meters for 25 kilometers, it's completely different if somebody just would like to test a sensor on an industrial building. So, and for that, you don't need to lock an airspace for 4 hours or for months. So, definitely, the requests that we have are very different from one case to another. And this is also the strength that we can offer, is being flexible and open to any kind of request depending on the sector, the kind of applications, the kind of company or research centers or universities, because they are also part of our users. So this is definitely what we bring to the market.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And the mentioning of the academia is really another issue, very important issue, because as far as the academia world is realizing that it can go outside of the rooms in order to improve their own knowledge and to offer to the students more, let's say, possibilities in order to learn and to acquire capacity, not only knowledge, but also capacity. I think is a good way, and very often we are looking that academia is going together with industry in order to promote or to establish new solutions and to study, because we have to also consider that the world of drones is difficult to find out the same level of knowledge in terms of, let's say, complete coverage of all the disciplines, because there is nothing more difficult than the aviation in terms of product. The number of disciplines you have to cover, from the structures, the aerodynamics, the systems, and the range in which they have to function properly, is really, really difficult, and it requires a lot of knowledge. And not all can have the complete range of knowledge. Then the academia is really a supportive chain or the value chain, as I mentioned before, for this. And then even to have test places in order to prove is something that add additional value to the system. And I will conclude with Daniel, just recollecting all we have said. What is your consideration as part of the authority?
Yeah, I consider Aurora project, for example, is a project that is a comprehensive of 3 distributed test facilities, and these test facilities are well connected, and they contain laboratories, software, personnel, expertise, and this distributed test facility is open out of the third party, academia, for example, research institute, manufacturer, operators. And this open structure is a benefit for the society and for develop of the technological developers, for application developers, and for reduce the cost of the development because we have the possibility to test, to simulate, and finally to demonstrate in real environment with adequate ground segment and adequate aerial segment, the process of the development of the product, sensor, and the product in general.
Yes, thank you very much. You pushed me to another question about the test facilities. I mean, you mentioned that from the authority point of view, a test facility is useful for the market, first of all. Yeah. And any producer, any operator can find in a test center a solution to prove its own solution for the market. And this is for its own needs. Yeah. Now, there is another place. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes or many times, at the end of the game, at the end of this development, you need an approval, a certification, an approval from the authority. What do you think about the way or to recognize? Is there any way to consider that if you have done the testing in a given test facility, I don't want to say Grottaglie, I'm not speaking about Grottaglie, I'm speaking in general. Yeah. In a given test facility, your, let's say, your process will benefit from the knowledge that the authority has and of that facility, the authority itself or through another authority if a test center is in another country. Is there any added value in this?
Yes, is a value in the chain of the value is for sure, because these facilities is structured in a good manner for testing, evaluate some operations, and for all the necessity of the operators manufacturer, but also for certification process, to accelerate the certification process, also for design verification, but also for type certification process in the certification, because we have a system that work for these objectives, for example.
Yes. I just to complete the thinking. I think that in the same way, because type certification is a remit of EASA, so it depends on the EASA how they recognize or not, in which way they give credit to the test centers. But in any case, as I mentioned before, when we speak about drones and speak about drone operations, and more when we speak about drone services, you need to prove the robustness of the solutions, and then the test facility can be one of the let's say enablers from this let's say demonstration. So I think that even the authority can have more and more let's say benefit for having or for the functionality and use of test facilities. Emilian, you want to argue?
I fully agree, but on the other side of the playground, you have the market. And if you want to sell something, you need a market, and you need to demonstrate also to the market that it's feasible. And we all know that flying a drone from point A to point B, in the middle of nowhere, it's feasible. But then if you need to cross a highway, a village, or a forest, this is another story. And so you also need some test areas that allow to recreate this kind of environment to show the market that it's fine. And this is also the added value for the authorities, is to say, okay, that drone can fly, then show us that it can fly safely in the environment that you are targeting to sell. So this is also, I think, very important.
Yes. So it's the ability to create a situation in which, an environment in which you can demonstrate. Thank you very much, Emilian. You got the point. I think that this is one of the other, let's say, approaches that we have to use when we speak about the test facilities. They are not only for the GOTA of the aviation. They are for all of us. So it's something very, very, it has a real added value in the value chain of the drone operations and drone services in the near future, I hope. Then, this brings me to another, let's say, to the other layer I mentioned before, because when you use the airspace, when you introduce some procedures, has been mentioned by Antonio in the specific when he spoke about some operations, but the issue is very common all over Europe. When you have to do something, when you have to prove something, you need to involve a number of people that sometimes is really a very incredible, a long queue, from the municipalities to the managers or the line operator, the power line operator, for example, the port operator. So there are a lot of subjects involved, not because they have to do something, but you have to ensure that they don't have to do something against, just to create let's say, an environment, an easy environment. So also because they have some activities and they don't wish to be disturbed by proof. So having said so, there is one of the actors that you have to take into consideration. There is the military side. And the military side because we use the same airspace. When you fly with a drone, you fly at a low level altitude. But you know that there is someone else flying at low level altitude. There are police, especially near the cities. There are the emergency services, basically with helicopters. And we have the military, that they fly at a low altitude because of their own, of course, duties. So you have to involve this institution in any case and in any way. But in addition to this, it brings into the question of the dual-use technology. The military can be very cooperative if they are very well aware of what you are doing and what are the technology you use, what is the flying object, because of obvious reasons. So this is in the use, but going back to the development of technology, the dual-use technology is something that has been discussed since many decades, because the aviation, we have sometimes is the follow-up is the military side that is going further. Sometimes it's the civil aviation, but is at the end of the game there is an exchange of, let's say, knowledge and capacity. So, what do you think about the development of dual-use technology vis-à-vis with test facilities, and what are the impact? We'll start with Emilien this time.
I would first say that yes, we talk about that for decades, but it was not that efficient, and because a lot of companies that are active in the military sector don't want to say that to the civil part, and vice versa. So yes, it occurred, but it was not that easy. Definitely, both parts can benefit from each other. Definitely. So we have to bring them in a common point somewhere. Maybe test facilities could be that, because once again, the scenarios that you need to recreate for military reasons are or could be quite similar as the one for civil. So definitely there is a place to do it. The question is how to do it, because the feeling is that it's two separate words with different kind of clients, different kind of objectives, different kind of scenarios, and it's sometimes hard to mix them together. It was the same with universities and companies. If we think about 15, 20 or more, depending on the country, years ago, you have researchers that made researchers and companies that are selling things. And the researchers were not discussing with with companies. As soon as the project was over, they moved to another one. They don't care about the final project or the next step of the project. For defense, it's a bit, I have the feeling that it's a bit the same. So definitely we need to merge those two sectors together. And I think that the best examples are companies and organizations that are involved in both and that are physically dual use. And it will open the door for smaller SMEs that are maybe more civil, that can bring the technologies to the military side and have a kind of virtuous circle from that point.
Yeah, yes, you're right, and we all have the perception that the two words are a lot of difficulties to communicate from the beginning. I mean, not for the use. The cooperation on the use is quite good, but what the system is expecting, the expectation of the system, is to have a lean process, economic process, efficient process, and effective. So if you can do something, and the question is that, do you think that the test facilities can do something on this in order to, because as Mr. Caetano said, just the speak before, there are a lot of commonality, maybe 80% or even more. Then what is different is the use, and maybe linked with the use some specific equipment, but it's very limited looking at the entire, let's say, the complex world of the drone or the operations. So it's something that can open. And he also said, because it is a truth, that EDA has taken on board the same identical rule developed by EASA for a simple reasoning. Why to duplicate? Why to spend money, energies, resources to create a rule that inevitably looks like the civilian one? When the civilian agency, the EASA, is spending a lot of money, a lot of resources to not only to develop, but to maintain. Believe me, it's not difficult to build a rule. The difficult one is to manage, to maintain in the time. So it has been a very, very illuminated choice by EDA. It opened the door to have many processes used by both the side of the sky, so the civilian one and the military one. So I wonder if I will put a more tricky question to our friends from industry. But just to conclude your reasoning, do you think that test facilities can do something on this, or not, or is waiting for some other decisions?
It's always a question of awareness. I love that sentence. We don't know what we don't know. So if you're looking for an SME because you're looking for a technology, but you don't know that it exists, you cannot know. So test centers can be that link, definitely. But the game is also at European level, and I'm very pleased to know that EDA is working with EASA, with Eurocontrol, because this is the basis of everything. With the European Defence Fund, more and more SMEs are involved in some kind of project. So you have the big players, but they also need the SMEs to develop new and innovative solutions. So this is the first step. I guess it will take time, but these are some initiatives that will will be bring together, and at the end of the game, we will have, I think, a very good collaboration.
Thank
Hope so.
we all hope. Thank you, thank you. No, going back to the same question, but I wonder now, the subject, you know, is the dual-use technology. But what can do the industry on this side? Is the industry a promoter of a common approach, or let's say something like this in terms of processes? Please, Christian.
I was thinking about this question. That is a little bit tricky. I like Emilien's point. This needs to be coordinated by the community at European level. The test centers may be enablers, right? Industries may make clear the need, right, at the right levels. And I think that talking about dual-use technologies is always a little bit tricky, and it's a path full of thorns. So I would like to rephrase it as let me say, a need for the development of the technology that needs to be coordinated at community level, at European level, and needs to be carried out, promoted by the industries and facilitated by the facilities, right? So other than that, this poses some issues also in the coordination between the military and the civil environment, because whenever the technology is a little bit accrued, right, and mature, there is always the risk that the restriction may come in, and the restrictions to access to the data may pose several challenges to the facilities in order to arrange the infrastructure, the IT, and the segregation of the data. So these are all things that we need to take into account. But anyways, I think that the need needs to be pushed by the industries as first, seeking out for concurrence with the enablers that are the facilities, but the streams need to be decided at a certain level in Europe.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, yes. I think that the manufacturers, they have a specific, let's say, reason to try to involve both, because they have to sell their products.
Yeah.
And if you have an approval, I mean the product or the service or the operation, it doesn't matter. They need to sell it.
Yeah.
So if that solution has already been approved by both sides, is really easier. So, Gianpaolo, what do you think about?
I was thinking that when you think about military tests, usually this involves many components, even not airborne component, even on ground component, and some very often always military have their own polygons where they create the setup for you where you can test your air vehicle in combination with other vehicles, and that's what military want to say. So how do you integrate your capability with other military capabilities? So that's what needs to be done at the very end when you want to demonstrate the final capability.
But do you think that the industry can be a promoter of the concept to have, as far as possible, not always, of course, a common, let's say, involvement?
It's tricky. Yes, it could be. It could be, but it's complex.
Yeah.
I would say it's a complex thing.
Yeah, I see. I see. Okay. And maybe is ENAC the right promoter?
It's not
I mean,
easy.
I don't want to speak about the products. Let's speak about solution, technology for operations. The involvement of the military side.
I think is a good for civil aviation to have collaboration with military aviation, because is a change of the contribution, etc. If the industry is interested in this, is good for us, I think. But you are at the beginning, and But we are some sector that, for example, I think in maintenance. In maintenance organization use, as a maintenance organization use part 145 as a part 145. For maintenance in military application, they use the same regulation. So we are a convergence between regulation, military regulation and the civil regulation. It's at the beginning, but I think in the future that will be good for us.
Okay, okay. So I will stop here. There are many other issues as interesting sides to be investigated, but I think that it's good enough for today. And I will thank you, hoping that the perception you have about test facilities, their use, the value, and what we have to take care of the situation around test facilities in order to let them grow and offering services is a perception that can be shared with you. So thank you very much for the attention, and I hope that you have a very nice continuation of the event. Thank you.